All right, welcome back. We're here for another movie review. I'm Brandon Reines.
I am Faizel Gentleman, and how are you doing today,
I'm
Brandon?
doing
I
good.
almost
Actually, I have
called
a
you
bit of a surprise.
Brian.
I know you recommended a book on one of our last shows, so
Oh, have you been reading it? How are you
yeah,
liking it?
I'm actually almost done. It's actually really cool. It's
Isn't it?
for people who didn't listen to that episode. It's the book that the Robert De Niro movie Angel Heart is based
Angel
on.
Heart.
So Faisal recommended. It's really I didn't know it was told. It's told in first person perspective. For some reason, I wasn't expecting that. So
Fair enough. Yeah, it's one of those ones where like it's weird in a book to have it in first person perspective to a certain degree because you kind of expect like a third person narrative. But so many questions, but I don't want to ruin the book for you.
I'm gonna finish the book and then I'm gonna rewatch the movies. I've seen the movie a few times before, but
Yes.
it's been years. So I kind of want to watch it again, fresh with the book in my mind. But yeah, the book it's well written. I'm not familiar with the author, but it's like
You know, he there was a sequel written for his book.
oh,
I think it was a posthumous sequel. I think after he passed away. I'm trying to remember, but like, yeah, it's very witchy and very cool.
and it's kind of got the blend of like voodoo and Satanism. So it's got like all like different I guess religions you call them.
Well, they call it Voodoo in there, right? Or like, I forget what exactly they call
Yeah,
it.
and I mean it's some sort of form of
Voodoo.
dark
Yeah.
voodoo. Yeah.
You know what? I was just looking it up right now because it's very funny that like the director of Angel Heart came up recently because a friend of mine was talking about seeing Evita. Do you remember Evita?
Oh yeah, that's the same guy.
Yeah, same guy. Which is funny because I was listening to a podcast about Evita, and like the guy was like hanging around Hollywood forever, trying to be like, no, 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 listen, it's Eva Perón and Madonna. We got to do it. And like nobody was taking him up on it, and he finally got it done. But yeah, it was the same guy. He made a movie called The Commitments, which I've never seen. I've told I'd like it. And he also like after Angel Heart, he made Mississippi Burning. Which have
Oh,
you ever
okay.
seen that?
Yeah, we watched that in I can't remember if it was junior high or high school. We watched it in class, so like of some some sort of lesson on the
The Segregated
1960.
South. It's a
Yeah,
brilliant movie. Like Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe.
yeah, it was a pretty intense movie.
It was really good. So like, yeah, the director, and then I started looking up the director. It's really funny that like you start reading the book too. It's like that movie won't leave me. I love it though. It's oh man. Well, after you finish it, we'll have to talk on the
Oh
next
yeah,
podcast about like what you thought of it and like everything.
absolutely. But today we were doing a different movie.
We are.
You wanted to let people know what we're doing?
We are doing Uncut Gems. Uncut. Did you ever see that meme from the thing?
I don't think so.
Oh my God. One of the funniest parts of the movie. So the movie is really good. Uncut Gems, 2019's Uncut Gems. But there's like ephemera and side things that came out of the movie that are also really good. One of them is Julia Fox, the lead actress. She was on a radio show, I think The Breakfast Club or something. And she said in the movie's name is Uncut Gems in like a weird like faux pas, and it became a whole meme. And then she did an Uber Eats commercial where she was like, you could get some Hums or you could get some Joms. And like just doing the like just pushing it was very funny to me at the time. It still is.
Nice.
But we are
Yeah,
we are reviewing Uncut Gems.
yeah. Well, I guess you just said you liked it, so I did too. Yeah, the movie it's very well done. Like I
Oh
definitely
man.
I'd say Adam Sandler's like best acting.
Honestly, can we start with like I know we usually hop around and like I like that format of hopping around a little bit, but like let's start that opening sequence for me, like that very beginning sequence. I watched it a second time. That opening sequence is even more brilliant to me than everything else because it starts with in the mine and you go into the mine and you're like digging through all this stuff and then you come out his ass. And
Yeah,
like that's a metaphor for the whole movie. He's
that's
just pulling things out of his ass.
yeah. I never thought about it like that, but that's absolutely true. It's there. It reminded me. There's a lot of movies that kind of do that, like Fight Club's one, where the
Yep.
camera goes into something and then it
And
comes out and it's a guy's
comes out
eyeball
and waves in.
or
No, and that's what I
whatever.
thought. I thought it was just a cool opening sequence. And I watched it the second time around. I was like, wait a minute. He's Adam Sandler. It opens with him having is it called an endoscopy where they
Or
put the camera? One of
yeah,
those. that, but like, and so the camera comes out of the endoscope, like it's the camera that you put up your butt, and then they pull it out, and like it's. I went the second time watching that, I was like, oh my God, this is like a, and that's just kind of the small details that the Safdie brothers put into this movie that are like, you guys thought about this a lot. Did you ever read about Kevin Garnett wasn't the first basketball guy they were gonna get? They had a different basketball guy. I forget, I'm not a basketball fan. But they had a different basketball guy, and they had written the script so that the basketball games would align in the particular year for when the player would be in New
Oh,
York.
okay.
And so they changed basketball players a couple of times, and each time they changed it, they'd have to rewrite the story so that it aligned. So if you watch the movie, like the times that Kevin Garnett is in New York are there would have been games, and then the final game they goes to play in Vegas, that was a real game that they won. So they had to like keep going back and do this rewriting shuffle thing.
That makes sense because I was wondering how they picked him because athletes a lot of the time are bad actors. So I was like, did they just write it and and then try out every basketball player till they found one that could act, or did
You know,
this one guy want to act, so they wrote the role specifically for him? So
and
yeah,
Kevin Garnett was so good in it too,
yeah.
right? Like he did such a good job. But no, they had different basketball players in mind and they just went through different ones. And I think they probably yeah, it was probably a situation where like Kevin Garnett wanted to act. They were looking for a basketball player that could act and like they met each other.
Yeah, it's so weird how that worked out, and I like the they kind of have the theme of the opening scene. I think they were trying to show that like these poor workers in Ethiopia are working for like shit wages. The one guy gets like injured badly, and there's all this turmoil there, and all this is just so some asshole in New York can like sell diamonds. But we never see that side of it, right? We don't see the hell that people go through so we could have this shiny thing that we trade. They don't get into that other than they kind of like, there is a message here, but they don't drive it into your head. They kind of, the rest of the movie is just about the story. So I'm kind of
Well,
glad
I
they
think
didn't go over the top with constantly reminding you about this kind of theme that they had.
Well, and then it's also about the hell that he goes through then to like I guess it's a hell of his own making though because
Yeah.
so I guess this is a not a spoiler-free podcast. So we'll just dive into it. But he owes money to who we eventually find out is his cousin who's also like I assume mob connected in some way or another. And he's in deep with these guys for the money, so he's constantly trying to hustle and trying to make the next hustling move to like keep ahead, but he's like barely keeping his head above water. I thought it was really funny that his wife was played by Idina Menzel, who's like the lady who sings "Let It Go"
Oh,
and
okay.
like does the voice of Elsa and is the voice of like the original Wicked, like the when the play was there, she was like the original voice. So like, and then she pops up in this movie. It's just so random who pops up in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the New York Jewish actors
Yep.
you see in there like a lot of them you're like, "Oh, I know that guy from Seinfeld or somewhere."
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that pop up. Yeah, got a great cast, but yeah, like this is absolutely like a acting character movie. Like it's not a plot driven movie. It's like the same movie, like it kind of revolves around the diamond industry, but the same movie with the same people, it could have been around the stock market or
Yes.
and it would have been the same. So it's like the story was kind of secondary to this character. And like, yeah, it's all like you said of his own making. He's such a con man. Like he deserves everything he gets. Like basically he's addicted to gambling. So he owes people money and then he gets the money, but instead of just paying them back, he's like,
He
well, if I
tries to hit
gamble
the
the
next
money,
score.
but then he gets the
But does he win you over in the end? Does he win you to his side when he's like, "This is how I win"?
I'd say no. Like
No?
he's flat out. It's like again, there are guys like that in real life, but it's like no,
Yeah.
he's wrong, right? It's like that,
No.
and that's why at the end he figures like yeah. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movies, we're gonna ruin the ending. He's like he locks the three goons in
Oh
that
my
room.
God, in the and they
Yeah,
foreshadowed that so well, like they set it up where like his door has a buzzer that like locks people like for a security measure and it keeps malfunctioning. And so at the end, he like takes advantage of that malfunction and locks them in that small, tiny, like essentially corridor passageway thing.
yeah, but like in his mind, he's like, look, he's like I owe you guys 175 grand. He's
We're
like
gonna win a million.
he actually had the money like in a bag and they were on their way down. He could have paid him off and would have been fine. But instead, he's like, I'm gonna bet this money on a basketball game because if I win, I'll get like one point some million, and then I could pay the guys back plus keep some for myself.
Man,
And
so
but
here's the thing.
the
Like, even when, as you're telling it, you can see me getting giddy about it because he wins me in the end when he's like, you know what? This is like, honestly, that's what he says. When he says, you know what? When he's in with Kevin Garnett, he's like, we're gonna do this. And he starts looking up the odds and he's like, they don't believe in you. They think you're gonna go the distance. I believe in you. And he starts putting money in the bag. And I'm like, what's he gonna do? And then he calls the girl, hands her the money, and then, oh my God, yeah, just
I was like
wow.
smacking my head. It's like just once you're at the point where guys are like coming to kill you because you owe them money and you have the money, just give it to them and then you're clean.
Oh,
But
he
of course
doubled
at the end
down
like
and he did it though. He won. That's
he
the
won, but
crazy.
the guys didn't care. They're just
They
like fuck
shot
you, like
him.
and they just killed him like because it's like you still lock them in a room and you know they just robbed the place anyway. They probably didn't care about their 175 grands. They just robbed his jewels.
No, at that point, that goon, and you know what, the goons, I think there's a lot of people in this that aren't actors, and that's a thing with the Safdie brothers. I think they choose like they're very intentional about their casting. I've only ever seen The Curse, which is the other Safdie brothers project or Safdie brother singular project. But they're really intentional about their casting, and like a lot of the people in there were not professional actors, quote
Yeah,
unquote.
it seemed the movie seemed more real, like not quite like a documentary or like a found footage, but it was inching that way. Like it seemed more real than a normal movie.
Well, I wanted to ask you as an editor, what did you think of the way they kept the pace going? Like I
Oh, the
felt like we
pace
didn't
was
have a time to breathe.
the pace was like insane, and it almost seems like like I'm sure it was scripted to a point, but it seemed like a lot of it like they
Improved.
yeah, it seemed like a lot was improv, and then they would just cut all the because it was like everyone was talking all at once and just nonstop yelling and tension and it just like man, it was and normally I hate that in movies. Like I hate when two characters are just yelling and arguing because you can't even hear what they're saying. But this movie was like that for like 2 hours, and it's still they pulled it off somehow.
But I think it's sometimes the person doesn't think about what they're doing and they just have two characters yelling at each other and then it doesn't make sense because it's a sign of not paying attention to what the audience will think. I think this is extremely deliberate sound design and video design, like editing design, to like heighten that feeling of like whoa, 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 whoa. Like it's cut like a sports game. Like
Yeah,
things keep cutting back and forth. The action keeps moving forward. It never lets you go down. I think that's a very deliberate design that they did.
yeah. It's and it also it brings up the whole the theory you read a lot in like screenwriting and filmmaking advice that I've never really bought into that you have to have a likable protagonist that you can root for. And this movie does it. Like I hated this guy. Like I hated
See,
everything
I
about
would
Adam
push back
Sandler's
on a little
character.
bit because I find him likable towards the end. He manages to win me over in a way of like I'm trying to think of comparable people where like they're just so fucked up that you're just like you accept that fucked upness, but then you also like marvel at the commitment to the bit.
Yeah, like he won me over in the acting of like pulling off this
Oh,
character.
yeah, of
The
course.
character
Oh my
himself,
God.
I found
So
him
good.
right up to the point where he gets a bullet in the face. I found him completely irredeemable. It was funny because even the point where his wife or his ex-wife or what I guess they were still married, when she's like, "I hate your stupid face. Like you were the most annoying person I've ever met." She's like, "I hate everything about you." And I was like, "Yeah, that's I think that's
Yeah,
kind of summing up what the audience is supposed to think. Like he just annoyed the hell out of me. Such a
he
scumbag,
makes
I guess.
so many bad decisions. That's
Like
that's my
everything, and his life is so chaotic. Like he's on the phone trying to talk to his doctor about his like whether or not he has cancer. Meanwhile, some guy's trashing his office because he owes him money, and
Yep.
he's trying to do this, and his employees yelling at him, and he's always trying to juggle all these things, and he just needs to pull off this one more big gamble to pay everyone off, and he doesn't realize like it's never going to end, and sooner or later he's going to cross the wrong person and get
Well,
killed.
even when we first meet him, didn't he go pawn a ring or
Yeah,
something? He
he
went to, no, he pawned a necklace. He pawned a necklace that he didn't own, the Michael Jackson necklace from the weekend. And then he took that money and tried to bet it, and then was gonna bet it because then he was gonna like win on the thing, and then they ended up canceling the bet, and like he did. Oh my God, when he won that first bet, and he was gonna cover his losses, and I was like, oh my God, he did it, and then they canceled the bet. Wow. What a like drop to your stomach. I was like, oh my God, he didn't. They canceled the bet. They canceled the bet.
And it's one of the, like, it just shows like the two different kind of world views. Like, yeah, there's the guy who that makes sense. Like, hey, I owe you this 50 grand, but I could bet the money and win even more than that and still pay. Whereas the guy who's owed the money is like, no, you're not going to bet my money 'cause you might lose it.
I'm
Just
not
give it
gonna
to me.
bet the money to win me the fucking money.
So
Pay
I would
me
do the same.
what
Like
you owe me.
if I was like the brother-in-law guy or whatever that Adam Sandler owed money to,
Yep.
I'd do the same thing. If I found out he went and bet it, I'd go and like give me that money the guy bet. It's my money. Because there's a chance you're gonna lose it. Whereas of course
I
the
agree.
gambler is like, there's a chance I'm gonna win, but it's like,
That's 100%. I think the dynamic of the movie. I think these are the two different sides of the coin that you and I have. It's like you're gonna gamble it. There's a chance you could lose it. There's a chance you could win it.
yeah, it's one of those. It And the thing is, like in his case, like it could have worked. He would have won, but the other guys didn't know that. He could have lost it, and then they're still owed their money. So
Have
it's
you
kind of one of those things about being like a prudent investor. It's just like you can go for the big gamble, but if you just take the sure thing, you're more likely, because gamblers are always going to lose in the end. So
have you ever met a person with gambling issues?
kinda, I try to mostly avoid people like that just
Fair
because
enough.
they're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
getting
yeah.
me in
They're not good
trouble.
for business at
But
all.
I've met people that gamble a lot, and it's like it's
They have this weird internal logic where it's like, well, I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna lose and I'm gonna lose, but then the universe owes me one, and I get that one, and then it's a big one, and then I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, and then the
yeah.
universe owes me, and I like that's kind of the weird logic that a lot of like gambling people have.
And I think it's one of those things too where it's like, yeah, they get addicted to the rush of it because honestly, if they had have just never spent any money on gambling, it probably would have added up to equal or more amount than the big win anyway. Like, like there are
Yeah.
people that win jackpots in the lottery, but that is so extremely rare.
It's
Um,
well, it's 1 in a million or whatever. It's not probability and the way casinos work now and the way that computers work and how everything is like the question I always ask that kind of pisses off my roommate sometimes is like, how random can a computer be? The answer is not very. Like it can. So like when you're gambling at casinos and stuff, all that feeds into a computer. None of that is like rigged to your advantage. They need to
yeah,
let some people win to keep the suckers through coming through the table, but
yeah,
like none of that is rigged to your advantage. But
yeah. It's like
like,
it's like you'll like the movie Casino. I love that movie, but
yeah,
the whole thing's set up that like the player will always lose. I guess your only chance would be if you lucked out, you went into a casino, made one bet, won some amount of money, and then never bet again, you would come out ahead. But
yeah,
as soon as, and the more you go back, like if you go once a week for
they
your,
got you.
the more often you go, the more you'll lose, and the more you'll lose in the long run. It's like the casino's going to win they're not stupid. They wouldn't start a business where there's like a 50-50 chance of winning or losing. There's a 100% chance they're going to win, you're
They're
going to
gonna
lose.
win.
So it's like same with online gambling. Like it's only there to get your money.
Oh man, online gambling. I know that's the controversial topic of like the year, I think, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a complete hose. Like, if you think you're getting away with online gambling, like you're just giving up money at that point.
And the thing is, you probably do, like, you consistently, it's like VLTs. Like, if you play them so often, like, you'll consistently win. But you would have been better off just putting that money into, friggin',
Putting into
your
a piggy
RSP.
bank and just pulling a slot
Yeah.
or something, and then
Yeah.
like, yeah, you would have just gotten your money back.
But that just shows, and it just shows, like, even though a character like Adam Sandler, is a shitty way to live, and it's kind of foolish in my mind, but it makes for an interesting
It
character. Like,
does.
it's rare that I watch a movie with someone that just has, like, let's say he has a lot of character to him, for lack of a better word. His life is full of chaos. He's like fighting with his wife, fighting with his like side girlfriend, and he's just like he owes money
Speaking
to
of which,
everyone, and his employees are trying to quit. And remember near the beginning when he first gets that diamond, and his employees telling him like, "I'm sick of this. You treat me
yeah, I got
badly."
slapped around and
And then Adam Sandler's not even listening to him. He's just like staring at this
staring
diamond.
at the diamond.
Like he's just such a poor human being. Like I don't see him having the only time where you see some sort of normal human nature come through is after he gets the shit beat out of him near the end and he's all bloody and he's like starts crying and he's like, I'm in too deep or what.
He's lost everything
Yeah.
basically.
And it's like that's the first time where it seems like he at least has some sort of self understanding. But other than that, like he just keeps going and he's like he owes someone money. So here, take my watch. It's worth 10 grand. But then it turns out the watch is a
Fake
fake. So the guys
watch.
come back and like he's always just pulling some con
There's always a hustle.
just to kick the can down the road a bit further. And he's kind of guys like Bernie Madoff, that they
Yes.
do that for like decades on end, right? Just scam people and they basically hope that they die before it gets uncovered. But it never happens that way. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up with you.
Basically robbing Peter to pay Paul and like
Yeah.
just Yeah, it's wild. I mean, welcome. I wouldn't be surprised if the Safdie brothers took like some inspiration from the movie business because that's kind of how the movie business runs a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and I don't think it's so much like it's any particular business runs that way. I think there's particular people that run things
That
that
is
way.
fair. You know, when you
And no
mentioned,
matter what business they're in, they would do like if you're in the construction business, there's going to be shysters there.
oh
Like
man, yeah.
it's like no matter what industry you're in, it's like 20% of the people are going to be like that and screw everyone over. So it's more like you just have to find like the right people to deal with. Because imagine having like that Adam Sandler's character in your life, whether a business associate or your like brother,
Exhausting.
like it's just like everything is, and even just like he doesn't want to go into his home because guys are looking for him, so he has to take his kid to the neighbor's house and knock on doors because he needs to use the bathroom. Like,
Also, randomly, John Amos is in was in there. I was just like, why? What? Weird. Did you watch Good Times?
I did not.
He's from Coming to America. McDowell's.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
When they were, you know what I'm talking about though, right? When they first knock on the first door and they're like, he's a big TV star, he used to be in the 70s, and he's like, no, you can't come use my bathroom. And they go
Okay,
use
yeah,
the other
that guy.
guy's
Okay.
bathroom. That was the guy from when in Coming to America, he was like, McDowell's. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
there's McDonald's, then there's McDowell's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
Just the most random cameo though. Like, I wonder if he was just there and they were like, hey, you want to be in this?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I kind of wonder that sometimes, especially with like they're kind of newer filmmakers. Like they didn't. I could see like Spielberg, Tarantino, where everyone would want to work with them. But for these new guys, was it just like the project was like the script was so good that people are like, yeah,
Well,
hell yeah, I'll be
Good
in it.
Time, Good Times is their previous feature. I can't remember if they did anything before Good Times, but Good Times had Robert Pattinson in it. And it was, from what I've heard, it's really good. I haven't sat down and watched it myself yet, but I've heard it was really, really good, and it was like just burst out the door for them if that was their first film. I gotta look this up real quick. And, like, have you ever seen The Curse, which was the TV show they did with Nathan Fielder?
No, this, as far as I know, this is the only movie I've seen by them.
The Curse was a TV series that was really good. I definitely recommend that. No, they did a bunch of movies before Uncut. So they did Good Time in 2017, Heaven Knows What, which is a psychological drama in 2014. They did like a movie in 2013, in 2009, and in 2008. So they've been around for quite a while.
Oh, weird. I thought they were like brand new.
No, I think that's why Uncut Gems was such a like burst onto the scene for them is because they've been like locked away in like New York independent film, like just slowly working away. And then they did Good Time, which was based on a memoir of a heroin addict. And so Robert Pattinson was in that. I think that did really, really well. And so they had this script, Uncut Gems, that they'd been like perfecting. And I think it was just Martin Scorsese produced Uncut Gems, if I'm not wrong.
Oh,
So I think they'd managed to get a bunch of people's attention, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this now."
yeah, that could very well be it. But yeah, like what a, and it's because yeah, like they don't work together anymore. The two brothers kind of it said they
They've
on Wikipedia
separated a little bit,
yeah, they
yeah. They started doing separate
dissolved
things.
their relationship. So I guess
But I
they're
mean,
not
that makes
brothers
sense
anymore.
if you're both like into filmmaking and you both want to do different films, then like yeah, time to go separate ways. But yeah, they Benny Safdie was in The Curse, which is a show with Nathan Fielder, who's like, my opinion, Canada's funniest comedian. But like, it was weird and cringy and awkward and kind of like Uncut Gems in this like. Do you know what I noticed about Uncut Gems that like from a filmmaking perspective is like, and it's more so in The Curse, it's always from far away. That's part of what makes it look like a documentary. It's always a voyeur shot. It's never something that looks like it should be in a movie where it's constructed and set up. It's the exact opposite. Who's that other guy who does everything's super flat and constructed, and he did like movies the guy who did Steve Zissou. He
Oh
does
yeah,
movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wes Anderson. It's
But
the
then, yeah,
exact opposite of Wes Anderson, where like Wes Anderson, everything is like super constructed up front, and you're aware you're watching something that is being performed in front of you. Whereas this, it's very voyeuristic and off to the side, and you're not supposed. You feel like the idea, the intent is like you're looking at something you're not supposed to be looking at.
yeah, they don't have like there's no like close-ups of people's faces, reaction shots. Yeah, it's like it's
There's no
almost set
big
up
music
like
stings or anything. Like it's all, one of my favorite shots is when Julia Fox gets kicked out of the club and she's walking
oh
home
yeah,
and
yeah.
like the camera's just following her for this shot as she's like, and she's got like, I love that shot.
And there's shots like when he goes into like the pawn shop or whatever, and the camera's like it's like
Like from a
pointing.
security camera angle or
Yeah, it's like
something.
from the ceiling or through the rafters or something. This like wide shot. Yeah,
It's
it's a different style of filmmaking, but I just found the whole movie very refreshing. Like I'm glad movies like that are still made. 'Cause I tried watching Twisters the other
Oh,
night.
what did you think of that?
I thought it sucked. I liked the first one. Like the first one was kind of dumb, but it was fun. So I'm
Uh-huh.
like, no matter what, it's a tornado movie. It'll be fun. And I just, man, the characters pissed me off so much. I just couldn't. I got like half hour in, and I just couldn't do it.
Interesting.
Um,
I've seen neither Twister nor Twisters, but I've been meaning to sit down and watch both of them because I feel like I've been missing this cultural moment.
yeah, like it's just something. I don't know if it's something about like it's like okay, yeah, they're a bunch of young people, but it sounds like it was like old people writing for young people, where it's like everything they has to say is like, I'm a young person, I have this way of talking. Look at
Yeah,
me and my modern technology. It just oh, it was so
it's very hello fellow kids. You know that Steve
yeah,
Buscemi meme. It's that energy.
I just picked that up and it's like they're all so annoying. It's like even yeah, even like even Gen Z people, they're not that annoying, but every character was so grating to my psyche that I just couldn't watch it. I don't know. And there's
Yeah,
just
script writers. You don't have to talk in like younger people slang. Just talk like a normal human being does, and you'll find that like your dialogue works 100 times better.
and they're all like because of course now with modern technology they're live streaming these tornadoes. So and they have like a YouTube channel and I don't buy that. I like how we're reviewing a different movie now, but but I also I don't buy that tornado chasers are these like mega celebrities on YouTube. Like you could probably have a decent channel with tornado footage, but I don't think there's any celebrities that follow that are like YouTube famous because they follow tornadoes and I don't know.
I mean, on the opposite side of the coin, just to bring it back, Uncut Gems, I feel is like super hip. Like it is like I mean, it's set in 2012, I
Yeah.
think, but it's current to that moment. Like that's when the weekend is breaking out, and like nothing feels contrived or forced. Like even when he's talking about like, we'll take the pictures and I want you tagging me on Instagram and stuff. Like
Yeah, it
it
seems real. It's like
yeah, I'm trying to think of like why it seems more real than, but I think it's like it does it. Yeah, like you said, I don't think anybody who chases storms is going to be a huge celebrity on YouTube. Most of the time, people on YouTube aren't like, there's like seven giant celebrities on YouTube, and then everybody else is just kind of like grinding it out.
yeah, I would have had that. It didn't seem like Uncut Gems seemed real. I believed all that. Twisters, it seemed like someone who had never heard of YouTube, never heard of the internet, all of a sudden found out about it, and then they wrote a movie. Because like
And
even
not
like now we're recording a podcast, but we're not like, look, we're recording a podcast. This is it's like we
well,
know what
that's
we're doing, so we don't talk, we don't reference what we're doing because we already know it. Like,
do you know what? I can't remember where I saw this. This may have been on an Instagram reel, so like dubious information. But I did hear an interview with like a writer at Netflix, and they were talking about how that's the mandate that's coming down from Netflix specifically is like we want dialogue that constantly reminds the character constantly reminds the audience what's happening, what's going on, so that people
oh,
can like tune out of the movie and then tune back in. And then, it'll be like, but Brandon, you're my brother for 14 years. I can't believe that you're doing this.
oh, that is so. And they're assuming that their audience are stupid.
Or that their audience is just going to have it on in the background and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Fuck it. It could be anything.
And
Like,
if that's what you want to do, then go into the music industry, make music. Like, if you're
or
making
like just
something with a
make
story.
public access TV something. Like, yeah, why do you have to cheapen like entertainment so much?
And I don't think there's anyone out there. I think part of it too is, the younger generation, they want it this way. And it's like, I don't think they do.
No,
No
no.
younger people are like, I want this movie to be stupider and to remind me constantly because I'm not paying attention. If they're not going to be paying attention, they're not going to be watching. They'll be doing something else.
Well,
And
and for sure it isn't because like younger people are also not the ones with the money. They're selling to like people with who pay for the subscriptions and stuff. And that's
yeah,
like, yeah, you're middle class, middle-aged people who are just kind of like, well, I'm gonna put on a movie while I'm making dinner. So it has to be like lowest common denominator is what I always go to. That's what you're trying to hit is like as many people. That's why so many movies now are PG-13 and you rarely have like a movie that's R or anything higher than PG-13. It's because that's PG-13 is the lowest common denominator. Like if you rate your movie PG-13 and not R, then you're hitting as many people as you can. You're hitting the kids with the G because it's family friendly. So families will go see them. Adults will still go see it because you can still swear a little bit and you can do a little bit of the bang bang shoot shoot, maybe a little bit of blood. Teens will go see it on dates. Like it's basically like hits every market that you can hit. And
Yeah.
it's not too offensive for anyone. It's not too bad for anyone, you know.
I think it's just it's a bad sign for what we're doing.
Yes.
Content creation in my mind, like even what we're doing here with this interview, that's kind of one thing, but like a movie is still an artistic thing. It's kind of like a song, and cheapening it in any way, and any time you're assuming that your viewer or your listener is dumb. Like, do you really want to be a person like if you found out that the people making this thing you watch are like this person is you're stupid, so we're gonna have to dumb this down so you're dumb enough to get it?
Here,
Like
stupid.
it's like would you be like I would rather have someone like you know what like let's make this so smart that people won't even understand it. Those kind of things tend to do very well. Like there's this thing where it's like you have to make it for the stupidest people for it to be popular, and that's not true because there's a lot of intelligent movies that and books and everything that make a lot of money.
Do you know, and maybe this is a topic for a larger, and like I don't have this fully formed, but like I feel like maybe you'll agree with me that there has been recently online specifically been this weird reaction to like modern art and experimental art where everybody's like, well, it's just stupid and we're giving government money to it. And I feel like this is a very calculated, like I don't think any of these things are intentional. I feel like there is this movement to push like easily digestible art because like things that are like you said, something that's so smart that it will risk alienating 90% of the population and like only X amount of people will get it and only X amount of people will consume it. Those things also tend to be like super subversive. They tend to be like presenting ideas that like if I can think about the one that's the most mainstream and the most like the Barbie movie, not the Barbie movie, sorry, Everything Everywhere All at Once. That presents some very subversive ideas, that presents some very like radical ideas in a way that it's basically like whenever I see things pushing up and saying like, oh, modern art sucks because I don't understand it and it's like basically frivolity, I'm just like, you're ignoring the part like you need to make this the frivolous thing that nobody's gonna understand a bunch of times. Someone needs to go all the way here so the rest of us can go here. Like someone needs to break those boundaries and make those like taboo like boundary breakers so the rest of us can evolve as a society. And but if we all stay here, then like none of us are moving forward. We're all just kind of here. We're all just watching the same crap.
Yeah, I think we're just kind of stuck in a bad place. But if you notice, like it could be just the YouTube reviews I watch could be skewed in one direction, but it seems like even like Penguin Zero, people like that are very popular. It seems like everyone hates all the new stuff. Like these cheap horror movies like Tarot and Imaginary that come out, the kind of stuff that Netflix is pushing, like you said, like they're trying to make it dumber to appeal to more people. There's not a lot of people praising this. It seems like everyone hates it. So
Well,
why
it's
do
because
they keep
it's
doing that? People
baby
want
food.
something smarter.
It's baby food. And like as a society, we're getting smarter. Like we have this contains the entire history of knowledge. Like I can look up anything I want on this. Like so as a society, we're getting smarter. So
Yeah.
like why would our art not reflect that like leveling up of our brains and like challenge us to a certain degree?
Yeah, I think it's the people in charge and with the money have this thing where they're like, we need to cater to the audience, where the audience is like, you know what, if you just make stuff that's good, we will watch it and like it. Because and there are TV shows and movies that are still smart and people like them. But somehow, and maybe it's always been that way, where they're like, you know what, we think we know what our audience is. So we're gonna make stuff for that audience, even though that audience is not watching your shit and actually hates it. And there's a lot of movies that come out, Marvel movies and stuff lately that bomb because the people that are making aren't making the things that people want, where they
Well,
used
then
to.
yeah, they're making it for popcorn. They're making it for date night. They're not making it for the comic book fan. They're making it for like as big of a net as they can cast.
Yeah. But it's like
And
once
like
the
I
point
think,
comes where that's no longer working and you're losing money,
well,
maybe
that's
you can
it.
change your approach. But they're like, no, let's just double down and do that even faster and even
Like
more.
maybe I'm in a weird fugue state where like because I remember years and years ago, there was like all sorts of different ratings of movies that would come out. You would have your R rateds, you would have your like NC-17, and then you'd have your G and your P. Like basically, there was movies coming out for every age range possible, and I feel like that's becoming less and less so. And you don't have like your art house indie niche movies or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I get it that your movies are so expensive that they need to
Well,
cast a
that's
wide
it.
net to make
Yeah,
their money back.
you
But
need to make a profit.
and it could just be like, the neck of the woods that we're in making, it's like we don't need to make millions. But honestly, making thousands is a freaking fortune to when you're working in our level of indie films.
Yeah,
But
fair.
that means
Yeah.
that we don't have anyone to answer to. We can make whatever the hell we want. Whereas the Hollywood movies, they have to appeal to everyone, and it's almost like it's starting to backfire. It just seems like everyone kind of hates Hollywood movies now.
Well, and like I've said in previous episodes of the podcast, hopefully that leads to the rise of regional cinema again.
Yeah, I kind of want things to go back to the way they were before because something's wrong now, and I can't put my finger on it.
I
But it's
agree.
just like I said before, it seems like everything you can name, whether it's like YouTube, Spotify, like Netflix, Star Wars, Marvel, like everything is worse than it used to be. Nothing is at its peak. Like there was a while there where Marvel is like at its peak, and now it's like everything's worse than it was like a few years
Yes.
ago. Is it just going to get worse like 10 years from now? Like movies are even shittier, music is even
Uh,
shittier. Like what
hopefully not. Hopefully that's not the future we end up in.
Yeah, I hope there's just some massive like ricochet where it's like things bounce back and even honestly, even if Hollywood has to like burn to the ground, not physically, but like go
Hey,
away
even physically.
or at least just like if they could be shattered so much that they reform themselves in a different way because like it's I hate watching like as with the Twisters example. I went in like I'm gonna like this movie. Like this is an easy. You would have to really, really drop the ball for me not to like this movie. And they did. I couldn't even finish watching it.
Yeah, how do you make like tornadoes and like trailers being flipped unexciting?
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, there are still some new movies I watch. It's just that I like. It's just it seems like it's rarer in the like 80s, 90s, 2000s, even 2010s. Like you would go to a movie and it'd be like one good movie after another. The new Indiana Jones. That's a good one. Like the second and third one. New Batman movie. And then it got to a point where now it's like people go in. Oh, there's a new Star Wars movie. It's probably gonna suck. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
kind of, I mean, like I said, hopefully that leads to like a little like reaction where like yeah, like everybody starts making their own better because then people can be like, wait a minute, I can do better than this.
yeah.
And then yeah, like people do better because it's not hard. Most people can do better.
And it's kind of unfair because yeah, you could do all this more exciting stuff in the indie world, but we just our pockets aren't as deep, so we can't get it in front of people. It's hard enough to make it, let alone get it in front of people's eyeballs. You could put it on
Yeah.
Tubi and make a little bit of money, but we don't make enough to advertise enough to get in front of everyone else. So Hollywood's always going to dominate us. Where it's like we're people like us that are making better quality things, or maybe not better quality, but things that are more enjoyable.
Different. Things that are different and like challenging to a certain degree. Anyways, what would you rate Uncut Gems now that we've had that
I give
lovely
it a solid.
discussion?
I give it a 9.
Nine? I'm gonna give this a 10. This is my
Yeah,
10. This is the movie that others aspire to.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. This is the kind of movie where things like kind of like they are going down the shithole. There are movies like this. There's the
The
diamond in
little
the
bit of
rough.
driftwood that you can cling to.
Yeah, it's like there's movies can be done. It's not like we as a human race are no longer creative. It's just interesting things can be done. But yeah, if you haven't watched Uncut Gems, definitely check it out.
Do yourself a favor. Watch it.
All right, everyone, we'll see you next time.
Have a
And
good rest of your night, guys.